Welcome to the video tutorial on the Impulse Strategy Content Guide. This video is going to give you the full description of what everything on the Impulse Strategy means. This is going to include the Impulse Scalp, the Impulse Swing, the Impulse Momentum, and the Impulse Wave indicators, as you can see all on the screen in front of you. To kick off, we're going to be starting with the Impulse Scalp. On the screen in front of you here is just the Impulse Scalp indicator. If you want to add an indicator, simply head on up to Indicators and go on down to Invite Only Scripts and type in Impulse Scalp, and there you go, you'll be able to see it just here. Impulse Scalp indicator is what is known as a framework indicator. This essentially means that it overlays on top of your bars or your candles or even your line chart if you want to. Impulse Scalp consists of three different things, which is the wave signals indicated by the green and pink triangles, the momentum signals indicated by the red and blue triangles and lines, and finally the trend candles, which is what you can see just on the bars behind you. We'll start off by looking at the wave signals. Wave signals are indicated by the pink and green triangles just here. They also have a pink stop loss and also green take profits indicated just here and here. Work in confluence with the Impulse Wave oscillator, which we'll cover later on. And they also have some very limited settings. In order to open the settings, head on up and highlight the indicator, click Settings, and here you can see the settings that will apply to the wave. Turn them on or off by simply checking this box. The other thing you can do is you can actually change the size of the TP. Now this is done by a risk-reward metric. Take profit is set by a multiplier of how far away it is from your stop loss and multiplied by whatever numerical value you put in this box. So as opposed to the default 1.5 and 2, I've changed it to 2 and 3. And you'll see in the background these take profit targets increasing in size. Move it back and they will move back down. Next up, we have the momentum signals. The momentum signals are indicated by the red and blue triangles. You can see they've appeared in the background now. We have a bearish momentum signal, and here we have a bullish momentum signal. The stop losses are indicated by a red horizontal line, and the take profits are represented by a blue horizontal line. Similarly to the impulse wave signals, you have settings that are applicable only to the momentum signals. Click on the settings. Head on up here and you can turn them on and off if you care to follow them or not follow them. You also have the exact same multiplier numerical values where you can increase the profits if you want by changing these numbers here and here. But also you have the option to adjust the sensitivity of your stop loss. Up at the top here it says momentum swing high low stop loss. This basically means that your stop loss is in accordance with the most recent swing high, as you can see here, which is applicable to this stop loss right here, or you have the swing low, which is applicable to this stop loss just here, and that is in accordance with that stop loss from this signal right here. If you want to adjust the sensitivity of these or the desensitize them if you will, then you can increase it. Look back over those specified number of candles or bars. It was 15 and we've now changed it to 30, and if there are any higher swing lows or highs in those 30 bars or candles, then it will assign that as your stop loss. The default is set to 15, which we find to be one of the most optimal settings. Lastly, we have the trend candles, which are signified by the different colored bars on the back of the chart. Now this is what my chart looks like regularly with no trend candles on there, and then when we turn it on, we can see that they pop up. These give an idea of the direction of the trend, unsurprisingly, and for the most part they actually work pretty well. Although please do not use these to solely trade off. As you can see, there are quite a few false signals that will pop up, and these are specifically there just to help confirm the wave signals and also the momentum signals. But for the most part, they are pretty strong and they're pretty good fun to use, or at least use as a confirmation. It only has one setting that you can use, which is to essentially turn them on or off. Next up, let's talk about the alerts for the Impulse Scalp. So if you open settings, then head on down to the bottom of the settings, you can see the alert management. Now first of all, if you check this box here, it says add time frame and entry price to message. What this will simply do is it will automatically add the time frame and also the entry price, or the close of the last candle more specifically, to the alert message. So you don't have to add any information down here, such as ticker or close value, as you would do for the more traditional alerts. The alerts do not include the stop loss price or the take profit price. If you want to have access to those, then that would be a commercial version of this indicator. So please feel free to contact us if that's something of interest, and we can talk about allowing access to that. Otherwise, if you don't want to have any information that you're not typing in, simply turn this off, and you can write whatever information you want to in these boxes below. By now, it's going to moon. YOLO. Are basically necessary if you're wanting to use any automation such as through 3commas, Mizar, or even Annie, as you'll need to enter in your API, use your bot ID, and potentially some values as well, such as long or short. Let's take a look at actually setting the alerts. Now, just below here you see 4 different sections. We see the alerts wave for candle close and also alert momentum candle close. And this will basically alert you of all of the bullish or bearish signals of the wave signals, and equally all of the momentum, bullish and bearish signals of the momentum signals. Now specifically we have the candle close. Because this is a scalping indicator, sometimes people like to be notified before the close of the candle. So if you're using a 15-minute time frame, for instance, this will alert you every 15 minutes, or if there is an alert every 15 minutes, but it may sometimes be a little bit late to the party. So if you want to be a little bit more on the ball or catch the alert as it is happening, then you can select the ones below. This will only trigger once per candle, so you're not having an absolute barrage of alerts come through. But give you a nice heads up to go and check that chart and potentially get your trade ready to jump in. So if you want those, then click on real time. You can have all, or one, or none. It is entirely up to you. But once you're happy with all the conditions of your alerts, and you have all of your messages set as to how you want them, then that is your alerts now ready. In order to set an alert, simply head on up to alert, and then choose the indicator which you want to set it to, which will be the import scalp, and then you leave it as any alert function call. You can change the alert name to make it easier, and you can also change the expiration if you have a premium plan. Additionally, you have multiple notifications where you can notify on your app, show a pop-up on the screen, send an email to you if you want and live in the 80s, or you can have a webhook URL, and this is basically where you'd send it to your bots. But please check out the automation guide on our website to tell you how to send it to different bots on 3commas, Mizar, and also Annie. And you've got play sound and also send email to SMS. Great. That is the import scalp all sorted and done, and you know everything about it. Let's take a look at the import swing. The import swing is a indicator which has a much higher conviction, and by conviction I mean it waits for much bigger confirmed moves before it will notify you of a potential alert. We tend to use this on high time frames such as the 1 hour plus, and the great thing about this indicator is you can literally use it on its own. So it is very limited as to what you need to know, which is great for a lot of young traders and new traders, but also it is great for professional traders as well because it just has very strong alerts. Let's take a look at what everything means. The white triangle means a bullish swing alert, and the orange triangle means a bearish swing alert. The orange horizontal lines are the stop losses, and the white horizontal lines are the take profits. If we jump into the settings, quite a few which you need to be mindful of. Firstly, we can see the stop losses. So this works in the exact same dynamic as the impulse momentum signals. They are set to 15, a much snappier, sharper, tighter stop loss, and these operate to 30, which gives a much wider berth on the stop loss. There is an option here to basically change the style of your take profits, whether it's based on risk reward or whether it's based on a fixed take profit, both of which you can adjust them to how you want. So if we were to turn this off, then we'll see 5 take profits appear, as you can see just there. These are all set to the default, which is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%, but you can change them to whatever you want. Everything after that is the exact same as the import scalp in regards to the actual alerts, except these only have 2 alerts, which is the bullish swing long and bullish swing short. Now, these operate only on the close because you don't really want to be jumping into these too early, because if you're operating on the 1 hour or the 4 hour or the 6 hour or the 12 hour, you could get notified within the first 15 minutes of that candle, and you don't want to be sitting there for another 45 minutes or 3 hours waiting for it to close, or be enticed into entering a signal which could end up being a false entry. So we've left it as on the candle close for those alerts. Great stuff. Next up, we have the confirmation oscillators, and we can see them right here. There's two indicators here, the impulse momentum and the impulse wave. A confirmation oscillator is basically to give you confirmation on alert whether you are going to enter it or not enter it. You can enter all the alerts if you want, but it probably won't work out ever so well for you. So as you can probably guess from the names of the indicators and also the color coordination, these indicators, the oscillators, they apply to each of these signals. Since the impulse swing is a standalone indicator and it doesn't need any confirmation, these only work in conjunction with the impulse scalp. So we'll drop down to our favorite time frame at 15 minutes, and we'll take a look firstly at the impulse wave. Look at the impulse wave, which traditionally will sit at the bottom of your screen, but you can put it anywhere you want. For the sake of this video, we'll leave it just there. There are two components to the impulse wave. One is the wave line, which is the very colorful line going up and down, and then we've got the traditional RSI, indicated by the white line. So let's take a look at each of the components on the impulse wave and what they mean. So here we have the impulse line, which is indicated by bullish momentum when it is green, and when it is purple, it is bearish momentum. As you can see, it is going down and going up. And next we have the overbought line, just here, which is the horizontal purple line, and then the oversold line, which is indicated by the horizontal green line, just at the bottom. In the background, we can see some highlighted areas, which is both purple, or pink if you want, and also green. These are the desirable sell zones, indicated by the purple background, and also the desirable buy zones, indicated by the green background. Then last but not least, we have the wavy white line, which we spoke about earlier, which is the RSI. And that is everything on the impulse wave. There are very limited settings for the actual impulse wave itself. You can change the background colors if you want to make them pop more or even less, and you know what you're looking at and you just want less color on your chart. The one thing to take note of is the RSI settings. The RSI is set to the traditional 14. Reason being is that the RSI is one of the most popular indicators out there. And a lot of people who use it on the 14. And the whole point of technical analysis in any capacity is basically to do what the lion's share of people are doing. So if enough people are seeing those same divergences, RSI breakouts, oversolds or overboughts, then there's a good chance that it's going to happen. So for the sake of that, we leave it on those settings. There is one small change that we make, which is the open, high, low, close, and fall. Additionally, the RSI will just apply its value to the close of the candle, which will often ignore any highs or lows of the actual candle itself. Since we're primarily using this RSI for divergences, well I do anyway, then we want to definitely take note of those extreme highs and extreme lows. So OHLC4 basically takes the average of the open, the high, the low, and the close. And it'll give you a more realistic value of what that is happening in that candle's entirety during that time period. As I mentioned earlier on, the impulse wave works specifically with the impulse scalp wave signals. Cover the strategy on how to enter, when to enter, and what to enter in the follow-up video to this, which is going to be the impulse strategy video. For now, let's take a look at the impulse momentum. And here we go, we have the impulse momentum oscillator. So, no prizes for guessing that this is applicable only to the impulse scalp momentum signals, as you can tell by the coloration and the name. But also you will eventually see by the confirmation and confluence of the signals as to what it gives. Let's take a look at what is on the impulse momentum oscillator. First of all, we have the blue mountains. Impulse momentum has about two main components to it. One is the directional index, something you've probably come across as a trader before, and also the momentum as well. So both of these are very important in determining the actual direction, trends, and strength of the trend of the trade itself, which helps with the confluence. So let's identify which is what and what is which. These lovely mountains in the background, the blue and red ones, are the directional index. As you can see, they pretty much overlap with each other. You can see a red, a blue, and kind of a whitish pinkish hue in the background, which is them overlapping with each other. Now, when one exceeds the other, that generally means that with red ones, that the bears are in control, and with the blue ones, the bulls are in control. So quite simple, really. However, it needs a little bit further confirmation because in periods of consolidation, it can be a bit choppy. That's where the momentum line comes into play. And this is indicated right here by this white line. The white line will give you the strength of the momentum that it's moving at. So if it's quite high, then that means there is quite an aggressive move going on. When it's quite low, it generally means there is consolidation, and you don't really ever want to be trading in consolidation as it is very unpredictable. So in order to give you a bit of a barometer of when to trade, when not to trade, then we use this dotted horizontal white line, which is sat at 20 on the oscillator. So when there is the momentum above the 20, that is usually a pretty good time to be trading because it means that there is momentum, there is volume, there is activity in the market. And then also when you start to get some confirmation of which direction you're heading in, then that is also an excellent indicator to trade in that direction. However, these are both quite lagging indicators. A lagging indicator means that it's taking historical results and compiling them and giving you an indication of what those average over that period of time is. So lagging basically means it's always going to be a little bit behind. And as you can tell by some of these movements that it is generally, sometimes it nails it, sometimes it is so behind that it ends up almost giving you the top or the bottom, but in the wrong direction. So you use these in confluence with the impulse momentum signals. There is one last thing on here, which is the red and the blue zones. And this is the ideal sell zone in the red zone at the back. And that basically means that when the bulls are in control and also the momentum line is above the 20, then that is a good time to be selling. And inversely, when the blue zone is appearing, that means that the bulls are in control of the direction, the momentum is up, then that is a good time to be buying. You can probably see where we're going with this one. And there we go, guys. Everything is deciphered. Everything is explained as to what is on the chart. The next video, we'll take a look at how to use it and how to apply it.